Tim, should we tell the listeners how to join the Golf Week Amateur Tour?
Yes, of course. We should probably do it now before we forget, though.
I agree. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tour's membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.
And remember, this podcast can be found on all the major platforms. So make sure you like, download, and share it with all your friends and family.
Chris, that's a great idea. Now, on to the show. All right, Chris, we're back, and as did you ever listen to Mike and Mike in the morning?
Always. I was a little upset when they decided to break up. It was like the Beatles breaking up, or Beyonce leaving Destiny's Child. It was crazy.
That is said all the time. And then when they went off the air, I stopped listening to sports talk radio, for whatever reason. But their opening was always, we're back and better than ever. I think this episode we really are back and better than ever because we've got some really good announcements. We got the two guests we have on this week. We're going to provide us with a lot of great information.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think you and me have been excited for this episode for a while now. Now that we finally get to let the cat out of the bag, it's going to be exciting for not only the tours, but all our members as well.
Yeah, Chris, absolutely correct. So why don't we just go ahead and get this thing started?
Yeah, let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Golf Week Amateur Tour, the podcast. Talking about all things Golf Week Amateur Tour, including interviews with tour directors, players, and course pros. Now, here are your hosts, Atlanta Tour Director Tim Newman and El Paso Las Cruces Director Chris Rocha.
Chris, like I said, we're back and better than ever. You've had 2 days since we were last on. I had my first tournament. Let me just start with Atlanta because we were at this high-end private course on a Saturday, right? Uh-huh. And we had a great turnout. It was fun to see all the guys again, and they're really looking forward to the season. So, how about you?
Yeah, I mean we've been rolling around. One major down, 3 events down. Quarter of our season's already complete, but we mentioned it before. A lot of tours, if not all of them, are starting up already, and we're starting to see shirt pictures coming in a lot quicker. We're starting to get that going. We're starting to see a lot of exciting news come out from different tours. So it's been exciting to see this month for sure.
But before I move on to that, how was your 3-club par 3 tournament? Good times?
Oh, great! It's always a great time to have it out there.
Awesome.
Hang out and just have a good time. Good.
We got one week left in March. Next week is April. The Masters is right around the corner.
Yeah.
We just finished another regional this past weekend. We're rolling. It's insane how quickly the season's going by so far.
Right. It's just insane, and being able to see my members go out and play on different events as well is nice to see that they're taking advantage of their membership. And just even also having members from other tours come to play my events. I believe I had one of your members come to my 2-day and have a good time. So it's going to be great to see for the rest of the year.
Awesome. Who was it?
Brian Williams, D-Flighter.
Oh, yeah. Brian's great guy, actually. He's quiet. He's really quiet. So when you talk to him, he'll probably just look at you. But he's a nice guy. Since the first of the year, about a lot of things that go on behind the scenes and how excited we are about the season and things that go on that we can't talk about. So right. Everybody should have already gotten an email or some notification about this, our newest sponsorship. And this is one of the things that we've known about, and you and I have been talking about for, we're going on 2 months now.
Right.
Just, chomping at the bit to make it official and get this thing rolling, because it's going to be, this new sponsorship is going to be huge for the tour and particularly for the players. The benefits that they're going to get out of this sponsorship is, they're going to love it. And our first guest is going to talk about it a little bit, but understand it's going to take a little bit to roll everything out, to get everything, to where it needs to be. But once things are rolling, I think, our players are going to really love it.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great. I remember my first year as director, we had I believe it was TaylorMade as our sponsor, and seeing them, at nationals and being able to do fittings, and then we're going to bring that back now with an iron company that's just coming up like crazy. I enjoy using their irons every single round that I play. It's just going to bring that, what we call a controlled circus at nationals, to a whole nother level. And I don't think the new members or any member that's been here post 2020 can even imagine what it's going to be like.
Right. And the good thing about the sponsor is they're not just an iron sponsor. I mean, they're a full golf equipment sponsor.
Right. Right.
From clubs, balls, shoes, bags, shoes. There's something else that's kind of going to be, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag on this, but something else is going to kind of be just mentioned in this with our next guest. So why don't we just go ahead and bring him in? Let's go ahead and welcome Tour President Dennis McCormick. Dennis, welcome, bud.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Hope you're both doing well.
Doing great. I'm excited to hear the good news. I know we sent it out an email to tour directors about a week ago, but why don't you tell the members about what's going on?
Yeah, so we worked together with Golf Week down at the PGA show, and we're able to get Dunlop Brands on as our official equipment manufacturer of both tours, not just Golf Week, but also the Senior Tour. Their brands include Srixon, Cleveland, Aces Shoes, and XXIO, which is kind of a PXG type club, higher end club. Currently, our goal is to promote strictly the Srixon bag for the beginning of this program. This is going to be a long-term deal. It's not a one-year deal. So Dunlop wants us to really push their new irons, their drivers, their wedges, obviously their golf ball. So we have started that process. It's going to take some time to get it all laid out in full detail of how it affects the players, how it affects the tour directors, how it affects special events. But just know that you're going to have the latest and the greatest at all the players, all 8,800 players' disposal.
This is, to me, it's really exciting because, in the past, we've had, some piecemeal manufacturers, and it's been great, but to have, the whole umbrella, the big picture of what it can offer, benefits for our players, it's huge.
Yeah, I agree. It's that in 30 years, I've never been able to get a manufacturer to say, okay, we're going to give you the opportunity to reach across all of our platforms, all of our clubs, all of our accessories. They also purchased the Nike inventory. So that'll be down the road. But that was a caveat that they told me right as we were kind of setting out the plans after the meeting. So there's going to be a lot of great stuff. They're going to cross promote us as well, which will be great for all of our tours to increase membership, increase awareness, and just have, the Srixon name and Dunlop Brands attached to our tours is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's huge. And I know I've been really excited about it and have been asking questions, and, we're rolling it out. And what people need to understand is when you have a sponsor this big, you can't just plop it down and expect things are just going to happen right away. So we've got to be patient, and, it's really going to be rolled out over the course of the year. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, that is correct. I mean, we did do a demo with Ken Rothman, who is one of their top club fitters. And we did it at the 4-ball. We had 120 guys. It was a double T start, so he was able to get there at like 6 a.m, and he stayed till about the last tee time was 10 o'clock. And he did reach some people. He had an assistant with him. Obviously, in the future, we're going to do these things where they stay during the event, after the event, maybe the day before if there's a skins game where players are a little more loose, have more time, really can go through the lines. But Ken came back to me after it was over and said, it was great. Your players are dedicated. They know their equipment. There were 2 or 3 guys that are probably going to buy a set of irons from them. And one of them being our national champ, Joe Jaspers, is looking very hard at him right now.
Yeah. I mean, me being a Srixon iron guy, when I heard the news, I got super excited. So can't wait to give, see what comes out of this, but also give their golf ball a try here in the near future.
Yeah, it's I actually, after the deal got done, I was surprised. In my own tour, I started looking in guys' bags at the first couple tournaments, how many people were already playing Srixon irons, or how many guys were putting on the putting green with Srixon balls. This will enhance the opportunity. There's going to be some play with that. We've already got Srixon on the live leaderboard. We're going to try to do some things on like what's in your bag. And if players are playing Srixon, then there'll probably be some award or prize if they win a tournament during the year, or at least get some recognition. And Srixon may send them, a dozen balls or something. But we're going to work into a platform with all their brands. But like Tim said, we just kind of got to roll it out slowly at first.
All right.
We're going to have Ken on later in the episode. And for those listening, just hang on, because Ken has he's got a wealth of knowledge, and he comes at fittings pretty uniquely, but he's very successful. And some of the things he's going to talk about, with technology and the clubs and the ball that goes into it, it's crazy how complicated it is, but how good it makes these clubs. And then when you couple it in with playing the ball too, how much better you're going to be.
Yeah, I got that feedback a lot, especially the next day, because he was there on Saturday. So day 2 at the 4-ball at Barefoot, we were at the Dive Club, and we had a 9:00 shotgun. So a lot of guys were mingling, including myself, because I was playing in the event. So I didn't have to, do tee times all day. It was a shotgun. A lot of guys came up to me and said, I've never heard the things that Ken was talking about a shaft, about impact, about club head angle. And I've been fitted a lot, and I've never heard anyone talk like him.
It's insane. And then, with the technology of these clubs, if you get fitted, and I suggest from now on, I think if you're going to buy clubs, you need to be fitted. It doesn't matter whether you're, a low handicapper, or, a D-flight player. If you want to get better and you're going to spend all this money on clubs, just go ahead and get fitted, and make sure the clubs are going to fit you and your swing. Especially listen to what Ken says. It'll change your whole perspective.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, the last time I got fitted was probably 5 years ago. I'm sure all my stuff is not up to speed with the way my swing acts now. But I do remember the driver alone, I went through like 37 shafts before they said, this is the one to give you the maximum distance and the maximum forgiveness.
Right.
So Tim speaks correctly 100%. If you're going to spend the money, you're going to spend the time, get a custom fitter to help you get in the best possible product in your hand.
Well, it does. This is really exciting, and I can't wait to see how it all plays out, and the benefits that's going to be for our players in the tour. So, as we head into, April, because, it's the last week of March, which I really can't believe. It's
right.
The year's flying by. We've already had, I think it's 6 Golf Week regionals, and we just finished the third senior regional this past weekend. The Florida Senior Regional. What else is going on in the tour, and any comments on the regionals that have already happened and moving forward?
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
A great iron set needs more than good looks. It's got to be fast and got to be pure. But good looks never hurt either. The all-new ZX Mark II irons from Srixon.
Yeah, well, I ran 3 of the regionals. I ran the Icebreaker here at Hilton Head. We had great weather, went great. Jeff Long defended his title for the 3rd year. He chews Harbortown up. He just doesn't make any mistakes on Harbortown. And then I went out to Paiute, and you guys came with me. We had a great regional out there. We had a great time in Vegas. And once again, I'm over basically just to sell out again. And then recently at Atlantic Dunes and Heron, I ran the senior regional, which was sold out because we could only cap it at 92 guys with straight tee times in darkness. And Tim was there to do interviews. So it's really all the regionals. Currently the St. Patty's Day, both of those are sold out. Moving forward into April, Innisbrook is getting close. And then Sequoia, I think Scott's already got that sold out. So, we're the regionals. If you're looking at them, you need to not look. You need to commit pretty soon. All my summer ones will be coming around the corner. Fripp, Sea Island, and Kiowa. And I know those will all sold out probably by the end of April.
Yeah, let's just go back to the senior regional at Sea Pines. You've been doing that for how many years have you been doing that regional? Is it 4 or 5?
I think it's the 5th. Yeah. I think it was the 5th.
And this year, the weather was so much better than it's ever been. The courses were in great shape. To be able to for guys to be able to play those courses in good weather and really get the benefit of playing on the courses, I thought was incredible.
Yeah, it was. And Tim, the Sea Pine staff treats us just tremendously. They give us our own private stack on the range. They give us tents on number 1 and number 10 with drinks, pin sheets, scorecards, rule sheets. I mean, they just really bend over backwards to make it even better for the players.
They do.
Again, the players, for once, didn't have to mutter through cold or wind or rain. It's amazing. I mean, I run that Harbortown event in January every year. It always has better weather than that February event, but not this year. Thank goodness.
Yeah. And I'm not even going to try and jinx it, but the icebreaker, the Golf Week icebreaker, it's generally the first weekend in January. Weather is almost always nice. It may be a little cold, maybe a little bit windy, but the sunshine and the courses are in great shape. But I was really impressed with the turnout for the senior icebreaker this year, especially because the weather, when the guys coming off this year is very different than it has been in the past.
Right.
Not soaking wet and you got actual scorecards you can look at and verify. There was a hole in one.
That's correct. Yeah.
A great story. With the D-Flight champions coming back from heart replacement surgery. I mean, I thought it was just great stories all the way around.
It was. We had sudden death playoff and champ flight. Yep. So yeah, it was great. I mean, it worked out really well. And like you said, for once, I mean, I have some veterans that have played all 5 years, and probably a month out, I was like, why haven't you signed up yet? And they were looking at that monthly forecast, weekly forecast. And I go, it is going to sell out. And they're like, yeah, well, okay. So, but fortunately, I got all my veterans that usually show up in, and we had finally great weather for that event.
Chris and I have been talking about the next regional that we're going to, and right now we're already booked for the back-to-back weekends for the Great Lakes Regional and the Cajun Classic. So we're going to have both Michelle and Gino on here real soon. We got others coming up. Florida Regional at Innisbrook almost sold out. Scott's almost sold out. Scott thinks Scott is sold out.
Yeah.
And then also the Memorial Day at PGA West. And I would suggest, if you've never been out to play PGA West, that should be one of your bucket list courses as well.
Yeah, I noticed from the amount of players that he has that he is representing most of the country. He's got guys from everywhere going out there.
So I'd say we go out there too, but I don't know that I could do 3 weeks on the road like that, and that's hard.
I'd have to get a few more sponsors too.
Yeah, yes. So, but we're looking forward to that. What else is going on that everybody should know about?
Well, again, it's just mostly we're getting to that time of the year, so everyone's season officially, once April gets here, probably 95% of the tours will be starting. Some of the tours, believe it or not, including my own, will already have had our 6th or 7th tournament. So, things are getting in line. We'll make announcements soon on the courses for nationals and, what we have in mind and in store. The good news is the Trixon will be there for basically all 7 days. They'll be there for 3 or 4 of the golf week days. And then the senior, they'll be there 2 or 3 days. All custom fitting. We'll have multiple fitters there, multiple reps there. all the possible equipment you can put in your hands, shafts, everything. So it'll really enhance the experience at Nationals this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So I do have one other quick thing for you. I've been over when you and Jennifer are shipping out all the goodie bag stuff. How is that going? Because it's the end of the month. So remember, guys, if you haven't used your coupon and you register for the tour in November, December, you only have a couple more days to redeem those codes and get your goodie bags. So how's the shipping going at the McCormick House?
I got probably another 100 in my car right now. So the post office knows me very well. So it's great. Jennifer does a tremendous job on it. She stays right on top of it. We probably already shipped out a couple thousand units. And obviously we try to do 50 or 100 a day so we don't get overwhelmed. Sometimes you can't do that, and we'll do 200 in one day and take a couple of days off. But it's incredible. I mean, the underside of my house, as you know, it's a warehouse.
Right.
It's full-blown warehouse. It is what it is. I'm not going to pay a fulfillment company. The costs go to the players if I do that. So I tape boxes and tape them up and ship them out.
Well, it's funny you say 50 to 100 because you don't want to get overwhelmed. And that number right there, 50, to me would my head would explode. You got to pack it up and put the invoice in there. Make sure you got the right label on it. It's a good thing you and Jennifer are detail oriented and squared away with that, because if it were me doing it, forget it. Nobody would get anything that they wanted.
Yeah, we've been working side by side now for 30 years, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, the guys at the post office, I know every one of them now, and I don't tie up their line. What I do is I bring them in these large garbage bags, and I literally they see me coming and they open this like side door, and I just slide them in and say, "Okay, Charlie, I'll see you tomorrow." So we got it down.
Oh my God. It's like golf week clause. Yeah.
I haven't even asked them. I need to probably ask them if any of them play golf and bring them some gear,
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there you go.
But, it is what it is. We enjoy doing it. Hell, if nothing else, it gets me out of my office,
Right.
So, other than running tournaments, this is pretty much where I live.
That's it. Well, Dennis, thank you so much. It's, I know the players, they listen to me and Chris, but they really want to hear from you. So it's good to get you on and hopefully that, the players are excited as I am about the Srixon deal and what's coming down the line. But again, thanks so much for taking some time with us today. And I guess, get off the phone and go ship some boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. And also the local directors, your local tour directors should be sending some emails out announcing it as well. So, we'll be updating through your local tour director as well. So watch for those emails that you always get.
Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsor, Srixon.
ZX Mark II drivers are for major players, major winners, major power. All new ZX Mark II drivers, only from Srixon.
And you read them, please. We've talked about this before on the podcast. Read your emails.
Chris, yours was one of the best I ever saw when you put that it was like a dog or something, and it said, "Read below." Read the email. It was great. That was a creative idea.
You got to be creative with those things.
Yes, that is correct.
All right, bud. Thanks so much again. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Chris, Dennis only comes on the show, 2, maybe 3 times a year. And
he's like Santa.
Yeah. Well, he is, especially when he goes to the post office, right?
It's true.
I know he's been waiting to come on and announce this sponsorship with Srixon and Dunlop and everything that's going to be involved in this. All I can say is once this thing gets rolling, it's going to be a game changer for the tour. And when I say that, I really mean for our players.
Right. It's bringing everything to a whole nother level. I'm excited. You and me have talked about it, but as a director and as a player, I can't wait to see what comes out. Luckily, as directors, we kind of get to see it beforehand because then we have to announce it to our tours. So I might be a little more excited than the rest. But this year has just evolved like crazy for both tours, and can't wait to see where it goes from here.
Yeah, it's going to be great. We're going to go from Dennis and him announcing sponsorship to Ken Roman, who is a club fitter for Strixon. He's based out of Myrtle Beach, and
right.
He'll get into his story and what he does here in a second. For those players that have never been fitted for clubs, I mentioned this when we talked to Dennis. I'm of the belief at this stage is if you're going to spend money to buy clubs, take the extra time and get fitted, because it's really a game changer.
Right. It is. From personal experience, it changed my game from night to day. If it's something that you're even on the fence of, or you're considering, definitely find a fitter that you can trust.
Right.
Not just someone, from PGA store, Dick's Sporting Goods, a guy that's there to sell you clubs. Someone that you can trust, but like Ken's going to mention, in his interview, somebody that's going to have a pre-fitting interview with you to see what you want. Because ultimately, what you get fitted into is what you're going to use for the foreseeable future. And you don't want to get fitted to something that's not going to work out, and then you hate the game more than you start enjoying it.
Exactly.
I could just see getting fit into the wrong clubs and just hating every round. And, you just spent so much money on getting these new clubs that you thought were fit towards you, and it was just a guy trying to sell to get his extra bonus. So, if you're on the fence, I would suggest take the time, listen to this interview, because it may open some eyes. And I'm pretty sure if you're on the West Coast, I'm pretty sure we can help find a good fitter for you. I'm pretty sure Ken knows a lot of other fitters across the country.
So again, Ken's going to tell a story, and again, you should listen, because he goes about the fitting process differently than anybody else I've ever seen or heard.
Right.
And he comes at it from a research and data perspective, and what he says makes a ton of sense. So, okay, let's welcome our next guest, and this is a guy we've been waiting to have for a long time. Chris, you and I have been waiting on this for a while. Let's welcome Ken Roman from Strixon. Ken, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me out.
We talked a little bit offline, and we've been waiting for this announcement for a while, and I'm really excited, for the whole partnership, but also, I've seen some of the other things that you've done, and just really excited to talk to you about, your whole philosophy when club fitting. Well, why don't you tell our listeners, what your role is with Strixon?
Well, I'm a territory manager for Strixon Cleveland Golf, and essentially I handle from Hilton Head to north of Wilmington area. I have a unique role with the company where I strictly are handling hard goods, so woods and irons and wedges and all that stuff. My specialty is in fitting and customizing golf equipment, and that's been my role with the company. I've been with this company now almost 5 years.
How long have you been a club fitter? I know you were in the golf industry in the 90s, kind of stepped away and came back.
Yeah, I was in the. I actually, I went to Golf Academy of America, which it was Golf Academy South back then.
Okay, yeah.
I jumped right into equipment. I was doing, club repair, building, and then also like custom fitting. And this was in the early 90s, 96 area, just before Tiger blew everything up. And obviously we didn't have advances back then. We had to kind of work with what we had, and we'd have launch monitors, and we certainly didn't know what we know now. And I left the golf industry. I want to say it was right around 2001, and I came back in 2016. When I came back, I decided that I really wanted to work with equipment again, and I really enjoy working with. Even throughout those years when I wasn't in the industry, I still tour van style setup in my garage. I work on clubs all the time. I'm constantly tinkering and playing and so forth. And I've enjoyed the advancements in technology, especially over the last 10, 15 years. So when I got back in, I just decided I wanted to try and do things a little differently.
Yeah, you talk about the advancements. You can buy launch monitors now for relatively cheap, and guys have their own.
Yeah.
They obviously they're not the same quality as TrackMan or some of those other things, but even just having some of that information is really beneficial.
I remember the first launch monitor that like I even heard about and was like shown to me, and it was in it was Titleist. They had it. It was a building. I mean, it looked like a large shed. I mean, it was substantially large. It was I think it was like Rhode Island Country Club or something. And the information was pretty primitive, obviously. But I mean, yeah, it's amazing now. Like for $500, you could buy a launch monitor as an individual and actually play golf on it, simulated golf and I just recently seen the new, the Apple Vision and what's coming with that. That's going to be that's going to start a whole nother thing. It's pretty neat.
Oh yeah.
So is there any data, on these launch monitors, and again, they come up with new data all the time. Is there any data that you think is just, we don't need, it's just too much?
Well, in all honesty, there's an enormous amount of information that's being provided. So when you look at a launch monitor, you want to break it down. There's two real big key pieces of information that's being provided. There's the ball information, so how the ball is flying, and then also the club information. And usually you have to get into the more of the higher end units to find out. So the radar is watching the club head come through impact, think waist high through impact area. So, and that information is a whole separate entity itself. The one danger is about a launch monitor is I watched a very good player. This is a mini tour player, go up on the dry range and he was warming up and hitting it very solid. And he puts the launch monitor on and he wanted to compare his to my TrackMan real quick. And I was fitting some folks. I watched this guy go from hitting the ball very solidly to really poorly, to be totally frustrated by the time he left, just because he was sitting there trying to, make the numbers all add up and be perfect. And, to be honest with you, I mean, as technical as I be, I mean, golf it's not a perfect game. All our bodies are different. We're not going to all zero out to, our swing direction is zero. We're not going to all have a perfect launch, but what we can do is try and optimize things for us as much as possible.
Right.
So I think we should try and avoid, in all cases with golf, trying to be perfect and just trying the best that we can be, or trying being the best we can be.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting though when you see launch monitor information and how it's used and what's important. So I mean, kind of getting back to your question, I mean, what the everyday customer should look at in some base things real quick. So if we're looking at a driver, we like to know, I think 3 big numbers that we look at would be the spin of the golf ball, the launch of the golf ball, and the attack angle. And, also obviously look at ball speed for optimization, how solidly you're hitting it. But those three things right there, the spin, the launch, and the attack angle are really going to guide you where you're going to go. If you have a negative attack angle with your driver, then you're going to need a whole different set of perimeters than someone has a positive attack angle or even a neutral attack angle. And then with an iron, you're still looking at those exact same 3 things. And, the biggest thing when we're looking at like for example, the vertical launch, that's the height of the golf ball coming off the face. I mean, like I tell folks, the easiest thing to look at, if you're hitting a 7-iron and your 7-iron loft, let's just say, for example, is 30 degrees, you want to be roughly about half of that for coming off the face. So you'd be looking at 15 or 16 degrees. And then, you're looking at the spin and the launch. Then the thing is, though, where it gets complicated is as the club head speed changes, those numbers to be optimal will change. If you have a slower club head speed, then you're going to need that launch number is going to need to be higher. That spin's going to also probably going to need to be higher, and then as the speed could go the other way. So if you're a higher swing speed player, now you might need to actually mitigate the spin and actually bring down the launch or vice versa. But, the window does change. I mean, it's unfortunately the information that's out there is plentiful, but one good thing I will say TrackMan does provide, there's a lot of free education. Also, too, I like to give kudos to Ping just because I know they're a competitor, but they have done some fantastic research and they make the information available to the general public, which I think is important. They have a great chart for checking, what your driver optimal should be in relation to your attacking. At least then the customer can just have a guideline before, if you're going to go fit. get fit. What I'm always trying to do, the big thing I'm trying to accomplish, I want someone to go out and play better and enjoy the game more and be happy when they play. And obviously, the biggest thing that most folks do when they get fit is they might go out and play, and then like they're not getting the same results that they got when they were fit. So what we try and do is make sure that we're recreating the situation that they would come across. And so I definitely tell you this, that if you're going to when you go and get fit, that's how I do it. We definitely want to make sure that we baseline first, and you're using your own driver first to get started with and see what's really happening. Peel back the onion.
Yeah, I was going to ask, when you do your fittings, what do you prefer or what do you recommend, off turf or off a mat? Because I've seen fittings on both, and just curious on your perspective on that.
Definitely, real turf is better, is best. The mat, you can bounce into a ball. I'm going to tell you, like with today's mats, there are some mats that are like, they're pretty amazing. And frankly, the audible sound, like I've done this long enough where I could tell like if it was fat or heavy. But I mean, ideal conditions, and you can't always do this. Ideal conditions are turf, outdoors, seeing the ball flying, weather conditions being relatively dry and clean, in the sense of, it's not overly wet. It's not overly extremely windy in one direction or the other.
Okay. Yeah. Cause that was one of my main things when I originally got fit, was I wanted to make sure it was on turf, and he used a TrackMan. And I mean, we talked about this before we got on the interview, but it was basically, I went in with an open mind. I was Callaway through and through for the first probably 7 years of my golf career. Don't ask me why. I don't know. It was just, they were the popular brand at the time, so I'll go with them. But getting fit, in my opinion, allowed me to get the best clubs for, like you said, my swing, my arms, this and that. But it was a matter of, okay, hit your driver first to see how that looks, and then we'll adjust from there. Let's hit your 7-iron, see how that looks, and we'll adjust from there. And luckily, I picked Srixon for my irons, which, like we talked about, I went from a 17 handicap before I got fitted to about 9 or 10 now. So it did work for me, and it's been great. Tim's kind of seen my advancement, but it's the putting that's killing.
Yeah, we'll talk about putter fitting here in a little bit.
But yeah, it's really important to get fit, and just because everyone's body is a little different, everyone's going to swing a little different. And get to that a little bit here tonight, but yeah, getting fit, optimizing it. There's just so much technology out there, but when you actually do get fit, the results will be substantially better. And frankly, I think there's two big keys to a fitting that should happen every single time. And no matter how often you get fit, there should be an interview beforehand. There should be a conversation of like what you're trying to accomplish, what are your actual goals. My big thing is I really, try and talk to the player beforehand, find out what they're actually trying to accomplish, try and get their feedback to what the real issue is, and then use their equipment to set up a baseline, because, everyone has preconceived notions of what's really going on. It's really good to compare the numbers, apples to apples, the turf interaction, apples to apples, that same ball, that same day, instead of, your speculation of what you actually do. It's just a lot. You're going to get a much better result.
I've seen you talk before about a case study that you did in terms of how our body reacts to clubs, and how quickly we react to a club. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I did. When I got back into the golf industry, I wanted to go about fitting in a different way. Everyone was still like taking all this information, and I felt like we were still doing it kind of like we're just hit this, and a lot of people are fitting to just ball flight. And I felt like there was just a more scientific approach that needed to be taken. So I did a case study. It took me a little over 2 years. There's 900 golfers, and I was lucky enough to have some tour pros in there, some PGA, LPGA. Actually, one of those players on live now. But first thing I want to find out is how quickly we react to the golf club. So, like, for example, if I change the length of the club, the line of the club, like the balance, there's multiple things. Like, how quickly do we react? And the reality is, Tour Pro to 30 handicap, it's 4 to 6 swing. It's very quick. And I was really shocked, because I was like, wow, that's quick. And And I really, when I peel back the onion, I look at it, imagine us just throwing a ball back and forth, right? We do a lot of those things subconsciously. Sure, in the golf swing, we have swing thoughts, but when we're collecting the golf ball, we do a lot of things subconsciously. So, for example, the club's not coming through impact clean, the toe isn't, high, or the heel is low, so forth. Like, there's a lot of different things that what we will actually do is compensate. And then kind of the next thing I wanted to see was, okay, once I found out, I was like, well, what makes one person swing shallow, one person swing steep? So we really came down to leg length, torso length, arm length. And I was using cameras that had, we were able to digitally measure. So we were digitally measuring different lengths and so forth, how the clubs are coming through impacts. It started getting really, really in depth. I really kind of, once I started looking at it and seeing things in action, I started to kind of put together the theory of how to fit with this information. And, I put it in kind of into action. But the neat thing was, so for example, I'm 6 foot tall, but I have short legs. I have a long torso. I have about standard arms. I'm always going to predicate to be a little shallow. That's just the way my body will always be. My spine is kind of set low to the ground. So that's just how it's going to, your body's going to turn. And there's other factors of it in this whole thing, but I'm going to tell you that that base information is huge. It's making a big part. I watch folks that have been working with instructors. I had a guy come out to me and he had been working with a very expensive instructor, very good instructor, and they were trying to shallow his plane out for about 6 months at $150 a lesson. They had only achieved like a couple degrees of shallowing. And in 6 minutes, I got him 5 degrees. And I didn't say anything to him about his swing. I know talk to someone about their swing. I accomplished what he was trying to do. What it was is I set the club up to give him the ability to do that. The reason why he was so steep was because he was adapting to the golf club. As he was coming through impact, the toe was high. So he had to swing left. And so, and it's vice versa. If someone has very, a good examples of Fred Couples. I think he was interesting because I got to see him play in person when I was younger. He has really long legs. He has a really short torso. His arm length is kind of mid. And if you look at his swing, it's like a kind of a homemade swing and so forth. But essentially, it was a compensation to be able to swing at just a standard golf club that he could buy off the rack. And the reality is he was always going to predicate to be steep and always predicate to have the golf club swing to the left after impact. And so he kind of made a swing that did that. And fortunately, he was extremely gifted individual and made an unbelievable career out of it. But most of us, what I see a lot is, most folks get into golf, they get a little bit better. They get down into, like, let's just say the 10 to 15 handicap range. And this is really the danger zone from where I see folks get extremely frustrated and they quit. And really the whole reason why I came up with this was I was seeing these people, they were throwing money at this, they're buying equipment and they weren't getting any better, so there had to be a better way. And when I was able to peel back the onion and look at it, I've been doing this now so I've been fully enacted on this, been doing it since 2017. I mean, I've fit thousands of golfers. Last year, I tried to figure out how many outliers we would have. So, for example, if we would fit, 10 people, how many of the 10 would fit into this system? It got to the point where there were so many that fit into it. Last year, I only had 3 total outliers, 3 people that this system did not make a benefit to. So you figure I probably fit, I can't count because it's a lot, but it was probably north of 1,000 people I fit at least just last year. And usually the people that are outliers that the system doesn't work for are usually someone that had started the game when they were very young. They had compensated for the golf club, and it's just ingrained. And there's no point in fighting. I'm not gonna, especially the player that I was thinking of right now in my mind, and he had been playing golf for 50 years, and there was no. But it was funny because I explained to him the system and showed it to him and all that stuff, and he's like, "Man, I wish I met you 40 years ago. And I was like, yeah, it would have been a little different thing. But yeah, it's something that I've proven. I've seen the results. And my biggest thing that I love is the feedback I get from golfers that I work with that, reaching out to me and tell me the consistency that they're achieving from it and how much more fun they're playing and have playing golf and how much easier it is when the club is set up properly to your body. It just makes it like, listen, golf's a hard game. You're going to go out. It's going to be hard and you're going to have bad days and good days, but it makes those bad days not so bad. It makes the good days even a little bit better.
Yeah. That just shows you how amazing the brain is that it can compensate that quickly. And again, like you said, when throwing a baseball, we don't even think about that our brain is making those compensations. But, with the complexity of the golf swing, all those moving parts, it's amazing.
It really is. I actually got to talk to this neurologist and this conversation was the conversation that gave me the idea. I actually haven't told anybody this, but he talked about, he goes, we were talking about, how quickly the mind and body react. And he explained to me, he goes, you ever driven down the road and all of a sudden you're like, whoa, you didn't even realize where you were. You were, on the phone, you were doing something else, or you were certainly thinking about something else. Your body was literally driving the car just through it's a reaction period. You've done it so many times and it's amazing. A good example too, if someone threw something at you at a very high rate of speed, you just react to it. There's no thought process. It just, your brain does it. And, the body's an amazing piece of equipment. It's also a complex piece of equipment as well.
Yeah. I wonder if Freddie Couples had used, your fitting system when he was younger, how much better he would have been, because he was really pretty good.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he's one of the. Obviously, he was one of the best out there, and it would be interesting. I guess obviously we'll never know.
We'll never know.
I could tell you that his golf swing will look a little different than it does. Not that his swing looks bad by any means. There's a lot of people that say, "Boy, I love to have Fred Couples swing and tempo." But I mean, the way he takes the club back, where the club picks up, and he has to use a lot. He saves it with a lot of shoulder turn, and then he drops it in and is able to, with his leg length, he's just not really ever going to be able to get that club the kind of really shallow, super shallow out. So he gets club to kind of swing left, and he made a very repeatable action.
So when people come and get fitted with you, I'm just guessing, my guess is the high handicappers will be the ones that, because they have the largest margin of error, will see probably the biggest improvement in their score.
In some cases, yes, and in some cases, no. It's strange because it depends upon how well the equipment, like the better player, how well the equipment was fit to them, or it's very common. I will say though, I think that honey hole golfer, that 15 to 20 will see an enormous, a jaw dropping, holy cow, what was I doing before? But then when I will say, the funnest, some of the funnest golfers to work out with that 10 to 15, they're trying to drop in that single digit, right? And they've learned to kind of swing from the inside. They've had some instruction. And so when you're able to kind of unharness some of that for them to where they're able to accomplish the things that they've been trying to do, and they're able to do it subconsciously, where they're not working so hard and thinking so hard, instead of playing swing, they're just able to kind of play golf. Seeing those results are a lot of fun too.
Right.
It's the really low single digit handicappers we're all prima donnas and I could say that because I'm that way. So I'm sorry.
But I'm kind of an analytical person. I kind of mentioned the story about when back in the early 2000s, I'm talking 2000, 2001, 2002. Going through a kind of a similar process and setup. Measuring feet width, distance from the ball, per club, where that ball would be, in the stance, again, for each club, for each different type of shot. My guess is that pretty much outside of most people probably aren't really in using the right clubs for themselves anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of people that I've run into some fitters that it's been very few and far between that are using a system that is similar to mine or like using that same kind of thought process. But I mean, unfortunately, what I've seen most folks like, you're just, kind of walking in and again, they're kind of hampering on more of that ball flight. In my opinion, and this is my opinion is, I'm more of a physics guy. So every action has a reaction. And if we're watching the ball fly, well, that is just a reaction of the club making contact with the ball. And then they say, okay, well, we swung the club with the way we swung the club was the action or the reaction of how the club was set up. So it's kind of getting to the heart of the matter.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Also, too, I mean, today's shaft technology is advanced. I mean, it seems now that, especially with the reboom in golf, that we have now some tools and things that we didn't have in the arsenal years ago. I mean, we used to. It was funny, even 10 or 15 years ago, we would have to give something to get something. Like if we wanted someone to have a stable driver shaft, it would have to be super heavy and super stiff and super rigid and low launching. And today that's not the case at all. I mean, today it's amazing the products that have been brought in. And, I worked a little bit in the marine industry, so I got to see what the matted fabrics like. There's stuff that's still available, and it's just it's a cost aspect that if it makes its way into the golf industry, we'll continue to expand it. And I've seen some products that there's some stuff in Japan that's starting to work its way over into the US where they're using titanium nylon and things like that. And there's still a long way to go. And, there's a lot of conversation too with the ball rollback. Is that going to happen? And all that. And I could tell you working for an OEM, and especially one that we make golf balls, the biggest thing that all OEMs are working on right now is their biggest concern is the impact of the everyday golfer. And I think that if there is a rollback, which that's still a question mark, the R&D that goes into this equipment and how it's made and so forth it's extremely impressive. I think some folks, they hear, oh my God, a driver's $600 and why was that shaft $300? And if you look at really what goes into making the products, it's the craftsmanship and also to the materials that are being used, the practices that are being used to assemble the product and the consistency of it and so forth. It's amazing. I mean, it's stuff that you would find in frankly in the aerospace industry at this point.
Yeah, and I just to take clubs away for a second, just the difference in the golf ball between now and 15 years ago.
Oh yeah, I mean,
it's not even close. Pro V1 now is not even close to a Pro V1 15 years ago.
No, and the solid core, and then the biggest advancement too. A lot of people don't realize it is the big thing that the big fight is over the dimple, the aerodynamics of the dimples and patents. And Srixon, they have more golf ball patents than all the other golf ball companies combined. So I mean that we're owned by the Sumotor Rubber Industries. I mean we are. Some people think if you want to think back, we were Dunlop Sports Americas. We used to make the McFly ball back in the 90s when it was the number one golf ball in the world. It was played by Jack Nicklaus. I mean, that unfortunately that brand name was sold off and so forth. But we made that product, and then when they decided to break back into that industry and start SRI Sports, and Srixon became a brand. They took that same practices to the balls that we have now, which is, they look for excellence. So
it's amazing.
Now you do bring up, golf balls. Do you do golf ball fittings or you just strictly stick to the equipment?
I do golf ball. In reality, if I get a fitting, if I work with someone on irons or woods, I'm going to be able to make a golf ball recommendation. I'll be able to make a very specific recommendation. Like it won't be close. That'll be the right ball, at least from us, obviously one of our products. But yeah, Just because I know I've worked with our balls so intensively, I know exactly how it's going to react under the conditions that I could create for it. So here's the reality. I tell people this and they think I might be a little arrogant or whatever, but it is what it is. When I have my TrackMan and I have all of my fitting equipment that's in front of me, I truly have more control over the golf ball than you do. I also have the ability to, control how the club's coming through impact and all that stuff. So I have a vast control over the situation. It really gives me the ability to not only be able to make a recommendation, but know that it's going to be tested and true and it's going to work.
Right.
Try to give her like a proven result, so to say.
Okay. So I may have to ask you golf balls after we get done with this podcast.
Okay.
Well, Chris, I think you need to fly out here and get a proper fitting.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Come on down to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, we can definitely make that work.
Yeah. It's fun being in the golf capital of the world. I will say that.
So this question I've had for forever, and nobody has ever really been able to answer it. When we look at irons, we're always looking at, is it upright or is it flat, whatever. And we can really play with that, right?
Sure.
But we can't really do that with drivers. So what's the compensation that we make when we build the driver if the shaft is the same if the shaft angle is the same for everybody?
Actually, the shaft angle is not the same. So kind of to clarify that. So we have 3 different heads with Srixon, with our Srixon brand. We have the ZX 7, 5, and 5LS. All 3 of those are at 59-degree lie angle. And then we have the ability to go in increments of 1 degree, but as much as 2 degrees flat. So then, you're able to go down to 57 degrees. And then in the Cleveland line, we have 2 driver head models, a XL2, an XL2 draw. And both of those are set at a 60-degree lie angle. And they also have the ability to go a couple degrees flat. Now, why they're not made to be more, so there was a big trend for a long time where drivers were, being made more upright to the anti-slice steel. But also too, drivers have gotten so much longer. I mean, a driver used to be 43.5 inches. Now it's at the, almost all the OEMs are, because of the way the grips are, they have a little different putt caps and so forth. We're going 45.75 inches, and that guarantees that we're under the 46-inch requirement by the USGA. So that length, as we've added that length on, these clubs get more upright. If you make the club longer, it's more upright. But also too, another control I have is, so if you look at the shaft and you take the 3 parts of the shaft, the tip, body, and butt, as the club's coming through impact, the shaft is deflected forwards and the tip is dropping down. So that changes the lie angle of the golf club as well. Also, if you go up to the butt of the shaft, and a lot of people don't realize this, and when I was doing my case study, I really saw this. I learned a lot about shafts and how much they flex. And the butt of the shaft is actually the feel. I love when people grab a club and they just go up and they waggle it real quick and like, oh man, this thing's a telephone pole, and the thing would be like a Tour X, and what the feel of the shaft is in the butt. You really don't ultimately feel the midpoint of the shaft, and you don't feel the tip ultimately. I mean, at impact, yes, you feel those things, but when we're swinging the golf club, the load and everything is down in the butt section of the shaft. However, that area just below the grip, shaft companies play around with that, and they either add or subtract flexibility depending upon what player they're trying to make the product for. I'll throw an example out there. There's a product, we use a shaft called the Ascent. It's made by Alboa, and they use a piece of tungsten that is about 1/3 up on the tip of the shaft. So what they're trying to do with that product is create stability, but without losing launch. So they're use this 4-inch piece of tungsten that's about 1/3 up. So instead of making the tip really stiff to create stability, they know that shaft is dropping down and deflecting forward. So what they did was they created an area of stability that was a little higher, and that shaft will still maintain a nice high launch, but give you stability that would not be found in a product, again, until that product came out. It was a very unique piece. Another example, Graphite Design. when they came out with the IZ, they started really changing the taper in the shaft. So they have fast taper design, and that fast taper design creates what we call a whip crack. If you watch some of those products come through Impact, and if you're looking at it as a whole, so at Impact where the hands are and where the club head are and how the shaft is dropping or tip dropping or drooping, so to say, all those things that like bring different aspects to the table. So there is a lot of things we can do. Also too, the weight, if a driver is a little bit lighter, it'll have less tip drop. If it's a little bit heavier, there's a lot of things we can do to make, getting back to your original question. Sorry, I'm long-winded on this one. Getting back to your original question, but you can, or you have the ability to use lie angle, but then also too the shaft profile, the weighting of the head. There's the multitude of things that you can do to change or make the club come through Impact clean, even though it's a driver, so to say, not an iron that you could just change the lie angle on.
Because to me in the past, you had the adjustable heads, but it's not really change. I mean, you're just twisting the head. You're not really.
You're right. It's a cone, so you are changing the lie angle, like with the other on ours it's that way. On the other brands, I mean, our Cleveland one, it gives you a loft change, and then on the other side it gives you a flat change. So like some of the other our competitors have either similar to that, or when you go up in loft, it'll change it to a little bit flatter, or vice versa, more upright. But yeah, most. Again, a lot of the stuff they kind of keep like little somewhat hidden because they're afraid that, the consumer can get dangerous with it. Biggest mistake that a lot of folks make is especially with the length of drivers today, being as long as they are, if you start making the driver more upright and like you're trying to stop slicing it, and if the club is not coming through clean, then you are going to compensate for that. The club is going to have to swing left, and there's going to be some things that you have to hold on with both hands, and you got what I call the steering wheel effect, and and that steering wheel effect is a real deal. I watch people's club head speed, jump up when you're able to kind of, when I call removing the two hands off, giving them, when the club is coming through Impact clean, and you have the player where they could just swing free, just let one go, and they're not worrying about right or left. Ball just flies. It has a ball flight like draw or fade, but it's like controllable. Like they're not sitting there going, wishing it went straight or holding on for dear life. I've done a lot with speed training. I learned a lot about, the level of intent and how, like if you're swinging two hands of the steering wheel all the time, you're swinging kind of slow and trying to steer, you're telling your body to swing that slow, and you will slow down. Your club head speed will come down, and you swing free and you're able to swing at the golf club and swing faster and have the ball go straighter. Your club head speed will go up, and you'll also be able to swing harder, and that actually tells your muscles to swing faster. It's also another unique thing about the body. Sasha McKenzie, he's done some amazing things. The stack, I personally use that myself. I didn't get paid to plug it or anything. I could tell you that I had an injury and I lost some speed. I just think that was one of the most amazing and most innovative products ever offered in golf, next to the modern day launch monitor. So,
well, I'm a steerer. I'm just telling you that when I play, I'm a steerer. I swing the club like 6 times, and my hands are so sore and tired. My shoulders hurt. So, but I'm a steerer.
Yeah, and again, that you're doing that because when you come through Impact, right? It doesn't want to. Club's not clean. There's something going on there that's not being square and not disallow. You should be able to swing free and hit a relatively straight shot.
All right, Chris, you can start getting on me on that. If I'm still getting on your putting, I just gave you some ammo. So Ken, how can guys set up an appointment with you?
One way I could recommend is folks DM me on Instagram. It's my name. It's K, and then the last name is Rohlman, ROHLMAN, the number 74. And if they could just send me a direct message on Instagram, I'll respond back. And then also too, I'll be able to let you know either set up a fitting, a personalized, the process of setting up a personalized fitting, or one of the fitting events, if you like scheduling an appointment at one of the fitting events that we have. Like this time of the year, we have fitting events, 4 or 5 days a week. From March, April, May, and then part of June, we stay very consistent here. And I do events from all over Charleston, all the way up to north of Wilmington. I have a gentleman that I have actually trained my fitting system, Danny Bartlett. He's down in Hilton Head. We've been working together for about a year and a half. Him and I met each other at a fitting event years ago, and we were just sitting there talking one day, and he's like, "Man, I want to learn how to do this. How do I do it?" And I said, "Well, you get to come work for me. How's that sound?" So he's doing a great job, and he's really learned how to apply it and understand the concept and using it and applying it and providing a good result.
That's awesome. I appreciate you spending some time with us tonight. And hopefully we can have you on again as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'd definitely love to do that. I really enjoy talking with you guys, and looking forward to hopefully maybe one day working with you in person. So that'd be great. Okay.
All right, bud.
Thank
you.
All right,
take care.
Tim, what a great interview with Ken. When we scheduled him, I told you how excited I was to speak with him. I don't know what it is about getting fitted with clubs and the technology that they use behind it, and the statistics and spin rate and club speed and club angle, things that I never thought of. And they use that to figure out what club is best for you. Just fascinates me. And it was just great to be able to talk to him about it and kind of get what his perspective is on how he does that. Yeah.
And so we just heard the first half of the interview. We'll play the second half of next episode. And, when you talk about the technology, I mentioned in here, I'd like to be in the room, where the engineer comes in and says, what, I've been thinking about this. Let's use locomotive steel springs.
Right.
I think that'll be a good idea. And it's actually a good idea.
Right.
That takes a different, mindset to think about things. When you talk about being creative, a lot of times we talk about, content creators and how, like Nicole, how creative Nicole is, with what she does, with all the social media stuff, right? You don't even think about that stuff in terms of engineering, but that's exactly what you have to be. You have to be creative to find new ways to improve on technology. And now apparently we're using locomotive steel springs.
Right. It's going to be nonstop, and who knows where the club industry or the ball industry, especially with the rollbacks and things like that, where that innovation and imagination that some of these people have is going to come into play. And I mean, just, the study that he went through, years of information collecting, and the results he came up with, it's crazy. It's mind blowing.
So like I said before the interview, it's things that nobody else is doing or thinking about. But obviously it works, and obviously it's producing better results than at least from my perspective, than standard fitting that's being done.
Oh, I completely agree. I will speak to having a good fitter to anybody that asks me, because I've been through the process. And I think mine, I got fitted for the whole bag. We took, I think it was 2-hour sessions for 2 days.
Wow.
And one day was just irons. And then the next day was driver, woods, hybrids, and putter. And he's like, because you're going to swing so many irons right now, I don't need you tired when we get to the drivers. We're going to rest and come back, rest a day and then come back, and we're going to have a perfect, not a perfect, but a good fitting for the rest of the clubs.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of fitters will take the time to get you in the right stuff. So
you're right. Like you said earlier, I mean, it's a lot of times it's, it may be a, PJ certified pro and a certified club fitter, but ultimately they're trying to sell you clubs. Right. Ken's approach is not selling you clubs. It's trying to figure out what's going to be best for you, and fit your body type and your swing.
Right. We may have to find or talk to Dennis about finding another sponsor so I can go out there and do an iron wedge fitting with him, because I think we're getting to that point. And, I'm turning 40. I'd be a good 40 gift, 40 birthday gift.
That's an excellent birthday present. Maybe you come out for the Fripp regional and just get it done.
We'll figure it out.
And for your 40th birthday, you'll get one of these.
What in the world is that?
Or maybe some of those balloons.
I really, so for your viewers, you can't see this. I introduced, for you Mac users, you probably know this, but I introduced Tim to reactions with his webcam that he's been using. And he just sent me confetti, balloons, and he had a little fireworks show and a laser dance party. So this is going to get interesting. If you become a guest on our show, you might get some reactions from us on our webcam now.
Yeah, and see, this is just what I need. Like I need another toy, technology toy to play with as we're doing these interviews. But when you guys are listening, you obviously can't see the behind the scenes and the videos and stuff. But every once in a while, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. We'd see bubbles, fly up with thumbs up or whatever. I'm thinking, how's that happening? And now I figured it out. So now we're going to do lots of fun stuff. Wait till Christmas.
Yeah. Oh no! Like I told you guys, if you're a guest on our show, be ready, because I just opened a can of worms. You did. Now really, all we need, when I do FaceTime with my grandkids, I'm on my phone. They've got animal masks that you can wear, right? Right.
Like so, we always play with the animal masks, whether it's a lion or a bear or a cat or a dog or whatever. I think one time we should do a whole show in animal masks.
Yeah, I've used those reactions with my kids before. My youngest one likes it. My oldest one thinks I'm weird, so it is what it is. But let's see.
That means you have to keep doing them.
All right.
All right. So here we go. Let's get back to talking about golf. So again, it's the end of March. I mentioned this when we had Dennis on, but remember, if you join the tour in November or December, and you have not used your goodie bag coupon code, you only have until the end of the month, March 31st.
Right.
So, and there are no exceptions if you don't use it. So get on it.
Yes.
Besides that, Dennis, doesn't make enough trips to the post office, so we got to get him up and moving with some more boxes of stuff. Make sure you get them done.
Yes. Get your stuff. It's all great quality stuff. I know last year I got the hoodie that was, I think I stumbled on it and then it was gone before we knew it. And everybody loves it. So keep checking, but use your coupon code because there are no exceptions this year. If you don't use it, you lose it from one director to another. I apologize, but it is what it is. Tim, you know this. I enjoy hearing that Dennis takes bags of goodies to the post office, then sending us everything so we can give bags of goodies at the first event. Because once you're in the middle of the season, you kind of forget sometimes when to bring a goodie bag out.
Exactly. It's so much better that they do it. Although, I told you not last year, but the year before, I forgot to use my code. I was that guy.
Well, I'm getting close, so I'm going to use mine today and see if I can find something. Maybe a belt, or maybe we'll just get a bunch of hats to raffle off.
There you go. That's a good idea, too. And we got to get some shirts in.
Yes. We have a couple of them, and we have some that we've seen that might steal the show already in March. Just remember, have fun with it. Don't think of it too serious. I've had some members ask, how does this correlate with the course you're playing at? And it's not the course you're playing at, but a golf course or a golf theme.
Right.
Like, we don't need anything crazy, but have some fun with it. At the end of the day, if you post it and it doesn't follow the rules, we'll let you know. But to me, 98% of the time, I probably won't say no because I just want to see some unique shirts out there.
Yeah, like I said, this is supposed to be fun. It's
right.
That's why we create it. Now here's the other thing, Chris. We've seen some shirts because we've had some members take pictures and send them to us.
Right.
That doesn't count.
That's not gonna work. Correct.
That doesn't count. You got to follow the rules. All those rules are posted, on the podcast homepage. Because you send it to us, and I've liked a couple of the shirts. I said those are great shirts, but you got to make sure that you follow those rules. Because again, part of it is we want members all across the country to be able to see these shirts,
right?
And we being able to talk about it. So make sure you follow the rules.
And keep in mind, we're doing this to make it fair for everybody. Not that my members can send me shirts or Tim's members can send them shirts, or if Dennis is at a regional and he sees a cool shirt and he takes a picture. Like, we're making it fair across the board. Everybody's got to follow the rules. If you need help on how to post it, definitely reach out to us. We can walk you through how to do it, or get with your director, because hopefully your directors are listening and following us and they know. And if not, let us know. We'll get on them about that.
Yeah, we'll help you out. And I'm kind of hoping that with some of these shirts, I'm hoping that the overall winner will bequeath to us each a matching shirt for us to be able to wear at national championship.
You know what? If the winner, I'm going to throw it out there. If the winner does that, okay, when we do our welcome party podcast episode, we'll wear them on the shirt, or we'll wear them on the live show, and we'll have the winner on there with their shirt on.
And how about this? I'll throw in something else. We'll cover their skins for national championship.
I like that. I can dig that. Yeah, it's an even trade. I can dig that.
All right, so it's a little bit more incentive now too. Get that shirt, be the winner, and your entire national is covered. You don't have to pay the $60 skins as long as you get matching shirts for Chris and I, and you come on the podcast and we'll take pictures and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the whole point, is to have a good time with it. I'll even wear it on day one of the tournament because I'm playing it.
Yeah,
I'll wear it on day one.
I would say I'd wear it on day one too, and I probably will. You know how it is with how busy we get with national championship. A lot of times, if I fall asleep in that shirt, at least in the morning when I go to the course, it's
the same.
I end up in the same shirt. So if it's like a regular golf week shirt, nobody will really be able to tell, right? But if it's one of these nice shirts, Tim, you
wear that
slept in your shirt again, didn't you? Because it's not out of the realm of possibility that we're going to fall asleep in a shirt.
Well, no, the concern would be if you wore it on day one and day two. Then we would know definitely you slept in it. Day one, you can kind of pass.
It happens.
I wouldn't put it past y'all, but I've been there. I know.
So, but if you wear it day one, day two, and day three, I would say you have a real problem. You need to stop.
Yes. No, day one. I'll only wear it on day one.
All right, my friend. Well, I hope you have a good week, and I guess we'll talk again in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, man, it's going to be great. Like you said, it's already the end of March, and I can't believe we're already going to be in April. What's that? April, May, 2 months, and then we're back at it on the road again. Yeah,
you and I are going to be on the road. It's going to be fun.
Yep. So
I'm really looking forward to it. I am. I'm not looking forward to it like right now, just because I got to get from here to there.
Right.
But once I get through the next 2 weeks, I will really be looking forward to it. I got a real busy 2 weeks coming up, but once we get through that, number one, I'm really looking forward to going to the Michigan course to see that course, and obviously see Michelle and those guys up there who we don't get to see a whole lot.
Right.
And then to turn around and go to Louisiana, because Gina and Trey are fun to hang out with.
Oh,
and I know it's going to be a first class tournament too.
Oh, it is. I actually talked to her about a week ago. I'm not gonna put it out now because we'll have them on the show and I'll let her explain it. But her tournament is gonna have so many chances to win great prizes outside of just a tournament that if you're not there at that event, you're missing out, because I can't wait for her to announce it on the podcast for everybody.
She's not talking about casino prizes, is she?
No.
Cash? No?
I'm not going to spoil it. You're going to have to come back and listen.
All right. So just for that, you get one of these.
Oh, no.
You're rating on my parade. All All right, my friend. You take care of yourself and good luck while we're gone, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yes, sir. Have a good one.
All right,
Be
buddy.
safe.
Take care. Chris, we didn't do it again.
What didn't we do?
We didn't say how to join the tour.
That's right. It's simple. All you need to do is go to amateurgolftour.net, click the Join the Tour button, and pay your local tours membership.
Thanks, Chris. Membership for 2024 is open, so register today to join the oldest, largest, and best amateur tour in the country.